Thanks so much for speaking with NDTV. Minister, Ireland saw its COVID peak when there were about 8,000 plus cases. The numbers now much lower to around 300 plus cases on a daily basis. Has lifting the lockdown restrictions very gradually helped your country?
Well, I think we still have a pretty tight lockdown in Ireland. You know, our economy is functioning, but with significant restrictions. So we still have restaurants and pubs closed. We still have building sites closed. Our children are back to school, but our economy has yet to reopen in any kind of a normal way. And of course, we have a lot of restrictions on international travel as well. So, you know, we are very cautious. We have had 3 waves of COVID, one after the other. Each time we have thought that we had got on top of the spread of COVID through restrictions. And each time when we loosened those restrictions, we've seen a new wave of the virus. And so we are determined this time not to have a 4th wave of COVID. And so we need to get the numbers down very low. And most importantly, we need to get our population vaccinated, which I know is a huge challenge for so many countries.
Right. Speaking of vaccinations, Ireland is one of the many nations that has suspended the use of the AstraZeneca vaccine. Now that the European Medical Authority and the World Health Organization has cleared it, will you reinstate the vaccine?
Yes, I think that will happen shortly. We're waiting for a final recommendation from the European Medicines Authority to do that. I mean, this was very much a precaution. There were some cases in Northern Europe of people who had blood clots having taken AstraZeneca, but I think there is a growing and also very strong body of evidence to show that AstraZeneca is safe. And so I hope that within the coming days we will be able to return to using AstraZeneca as one of 4 vaccines that are now approved for use across the European Union and in Ireland, so that we can try to get as many people as possible vaccinated every week between the now and the end of the summer, when I hope we will be in a position to ensure that every adult in the country that wants a vaccine will be able to get one. And I hope we'll be in a position to start sharing surplus vaccines also over the summer, once we get our vulnerable populations vaccinated, because if the world is not sharing vaccine, well then none of us are safe. And I think it will be a big challenge in the coming months to ensure that parts of the world that have a lot of vaccine, in fact, some countries will have significant surplus vaccine. We need to ensure that all of the vaccines that are available globally are made available to vulnerable populations globally. And of course, you know, huge economies like India have the opportunity to be able to produce very significant volumes of vaccine, not only for your own population, but for other parts of the world as well.
Yes. I think equitable distributions of vaccine is a very important point that you make. What's your assessment then of the global response to the pandemic, the role, say, of an organization like the World Health Organization? Has it brought the world closer? Has it brought us closer? Or do you feel in a certain sense it's perhaps highlighted the disparities even more?
To be honest, I think a little bit of both. So, you know, there have been some countries who should have known better, have been undermining the work of the WHO up until a number of months ago at least. I'm glad to see that that is not the case any longer. I think the World Health Organization is enormously valuable in the face of a global pandemic like this one. And we have significantly increased our funding to the World Health Organization as a small country, and other countries have done the same. And I think this has got to be a lesson that unless everybody is safe, nobody is safe. When we look at how this virus is behaving, when we look at how new strains develop and mutate, the truth is that the world together has got to find a way of ensuring that we make the vaccine available to all countries, regardless of wealth or influence, or size or scale or geography. And I hope that as we move through the summer, as parts of the world that have significant volumes of vaccine available to them protect their own vulnerable populations, which of course there's huge pressure on them to do politically, I hope we will see a approach towards ensuring that the rest of the world can get vaccinated as well. And the role of a small country like Ireland within the European Union can be important, but of course the role of a country as large and as powerful and as influential as India will be hugely important in that challenge.
Well, absolutely. And what more, in your assessment, can countries do to better collaborate when it comes to equitable distribution of vaccines, making it accessible and easily available to the global population?
Well, certainly, I think, there are two things. First of all, where there is excess vaccine, and some countries have pre-ordered huge volumes of vaccine. So, for example, in my country, there are less than 5 million people in our population, but we have ordered over 18 million doses of vaccine. Now, of course, many of those doses need double doses to protect people. But even so, we will have significantly excess vaccine, hopefully by early autumn. And we will move to share that vaccine as soon as we possibly can. But there are many other countries that are in the same position, and their excess vaccine are much, much higher volumes than what Ireland would have. So the first thing is to ensure that countries that have spare capacity share that spare capacity as soon as possible. Secondly, we've got to ensure that we can manufacture more vaccine. And so the technology needs to be shared to ensure that companies that have the capacity to replicate this vaccine in production facilities, and India has huge capacity here, that actually they get the IP and the support that they need to be able to produce vaccine in large volumes to ensure that we can get vaccines safely to parts of the world that need it.
All right, Minister Coveney, thanks so much for speaking with NDTV.